the dealership fixed the car after he went up there.
So they said.
Right.
And it was a piece of the ground that was messed up. And so in that case, at this point now, I'm out of still that money.
Right. So the whatever was they fixed. Oh, somebody tried to say a fuel pump wasn't that much money. Isn't thousands of dollars or something.
Who said that?
Someone said something.
What fool? You take it to the dealership. It's called labor cost. You dumbass.
Right. They sent the car service. Sent him a damn car. Ridiculous. To go get the car that they fucking fucked up. Fucking dummies. Update them on what happened.
And whoever said something about a fuel pump is not expensive, you take your car to your dealership, the one who make it, and tell me how much they safe. They gonna charge you to fix a fuel pump.
Or is it all the same?
Huh?
I said there's a
no, it varies based on model, make, and year, and all of that stuff. But it doesn't matter. Most fuel pumps are very expensive. It's a very expensive fix, especially when it comes to the labor cost, because they got to drop your gas tank with gasoline in it.
It was a troll though. So don't
exactly. Small-minded idiot. Invoice said $0.
Right.
But then I went back to see what they had to lose, and it said $134.
That's so fucked up.
And then they bit the cost for it. But I bet you they did bite the cost for that.
You can't... Because they're trying to say still that you needed a new...
Exactly. They're trying to say that the fuel pump is what burned out the grounding fuel wire.
Right, so then
and so
it needed to be fixed.
And I told him, I'm like, brother, listen, man, I'm going to be honest with you. There's no way that fuel pump burnt that out. That fuel pump was burning perfectly fine. The mechanic that I had check it told me it was perfectly fine, and that it had to be electrical, and that he couldn't do it. He wasn't a subject matter expert in electrical stuff, but that he tested the fuel pump, and that the fuel pump's pressure was perfectly fine. I told that to the first representative before I got you. And he told me that the mechanic did a diagnostic, which comes to find out while I'm riding in the transportation, the nice transportation they sent me to go pick me up after they realized that they did what they did. But in the end, I'm still very much so thankful, I have to admit, because they could have just denied all responsibility, and they would have tried to charge you for labor. I was assume
labor and
it probably would have been
diagnostic.
Like $500 instead of, you know what I mean, almost $2,000 in a sense. The fuel pump is expensive too. That was probably $800 of it, and then over $1,000. You know what I mean, would have probably went into goddamn almost the labor costs, or most of that. Well, not a little bit less than probably. But
the labor is more than the damn part.
The labor is probably more than the cost of the actual part. The part itself is not going to be as expensive as the labor, but they do upsell. They do upcharge the parts when they go through the dealership, because it's supposed to be the dealer part basically instead of an aftermarket part. So yes, I could go look online for a fuel pump and it will be a lot cheaper, probably drastically cheaper, hopefully.
We didn't have time for that.
But we didn't have time for that. On top
that don't even matter.
it became irrelevant to the cause because it still wouldn't have been the right fix.
Right.
And so at this point, I just feel like they really just screwed me. I really think that they screwed me, and they know they screwed me, and they feel guilty. And so at that point, especially because I explained to them I'm having a baby, and y'all, like, I just, you know.
Right, they try to send him the car because they're like, oh, we'll come pick you up. Because
your pregnant wife, they have to bring you here, so don't worry about it. We'll send you a transportation, blah, 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 blah. I bet you will, because it's only a mile away from you. But in all reality,
trying to make it seem
they
like
try
they
to
was
show
really
me. I
helping
took pictures and video of the part that they try to show me was what was wrong with it. But when I look up the information on it, it is not saying a fuel pump will not burn it out. It's a short in a wire. So they just replaced that wiring harness. In reality, I'm still pissed, and I really believe that. And so this is what I told him. I told the director was gone, so I didn't get a chance to speak to him again. Who made, obviously, clearly is the one who
got this figured
he
out.
He got everything situated or whatever, and he's the only one that can approve anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the representative I spoke to or whatever, he was adamant about trying to express to me how, you know, it was the fuel pump, but this went bad too, and we missed it. If you missed something, you would have simply explained to me, hey, this is something else that was damaged. You're going to have to pay for this too.
Right.
That's not how it works when we missed it. We'll do it though for free.
Right.
You feel guilty. There's no way you would do that. I'm thankful, but in all reality, because they could have done that, and that would have been even worse of a predicament. But I looked it up. There's no way that the fuel pump can short out the wire that they're talking about. And he's talking about, oh, this is why, because the fuel pump was going bad, that it shorted out this wire. Mm-hmm. And so he told me the consistent restarting it with the vehicle is what burned the wire out because the fuel pump was bad. But I told him, I said, so you're telling me that restarting it, doing that, well, how does it, so at this point, you're trying to make an excuse for why that the pump is bad.
Right. Right. So why
basically, it started shorting out because the pump was already bad and that caused the issue. But once you kept restarting it and it wasn't turning over, it burnt this out too, and that's the reason. Bullshit. The mechanics of the vehicle isn't going to start just shorting out just because. It still had power from the battery. What the fuck is that? It just won't start. It will just keep doing that until it stops, but it's not going to short it out. And it wasn't even done a lot. So in that case, once it stopped doing it, I just didn't turn the car on. I knew it was jacked up again. Mm-hmm. At that point, so you acting like I just got that bitch like like, no, I wasn't doing that. So in that case, that's some bullshit too. This is what I told him. I'll take the hit for the part. We both need to take a hit for something. Y'all had to take a hit for this, replacing this, very inexpensive compared to my losses. So in that case, in all reality, I think the mechanic who misdiagnosed that vehicle needs to lose his labor costs. And that's the honest to God truth. You fucked up, fix it. Right. You take the hit. He need to take the hit. So that's almost a similar situation to law enforcement. That's what they're trying to do. So when they say defund the police, they're meaning defund the police by making officers responsible for their mistakes. Right, now, because of them having qualified immunity, they get away with half the shit, predominantly most of the stuff that they do. And you have to basically truly prove that they killed somebody. Like, it's got to be obvious footage or some shit. Like, but instead, they'll get qualified immunity. But if they didn't have qualified immunity, I can promise you that they would start second guessing a lot of their mistakes. And yeah, I would believe that there might be more loss of life when it came to law enforcement, but there will probably be a lot less loss of life when it came to civilians, which is probably a lot more than it is when it will become to law enforcement. Most Americans are more law-abiding than they are criminals. So in that case, yes, there might be an opportunity where an officer might misjudge being able to, go hands-on or something, and then they may get hurt or injured or killed, but it will also make them second guess treating people like trash and killing them and doing all this other shit. And that's the circumstances. So that is what it should happen with him. He misdiagnosed the vehicle. He knew he did. I simply had them foreshore it before they touched my vehicle. He had days to figure it out. And I expressed to him, that's not the problem. You're wrong. You need to fix it. I'm telling you, it's got something to do with this. I had somebody already check it. No, that's not it. You made an educated guess. You were wrong. Lo and behold, as I'm about to leave the dealership, another guy is coming in and talking about, that wasn't it, brother.
I wonder how many times he had it. Because if he said it like that, I wonder how many times. Right,
so basically at that point, it shows a reoccurring issue of misdiagnosed vehicos.
Right.
There's no way that I walk in this dealership and there's somebody coming in talking about theirs is messed up. And before I left the dealership, I had overheard somebody. Guess what? Also, is this recording still? Mm-hmm. Also, the transporter, the guy who picked me up, I had told him, I said, yeah, man, you know why you picked? Because he like, oh man, I ain't never picked up nobody on Saturdays. They don't normally run transportation on Saturdays. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because they screwed me out of $2,000.
Mm.
And he like, oh man, for real? And I'm like, yeah, exactly. My fuel pump was, they told me my fuel pump was bad and my fuel pump wasn't bad. He's like, oh. He sat for like about 2 minutes and he said, you know, I gotta be honest with you, brother. I overheard them earlier talking about that fuel pump too. Trick him into saying something he shouldn't probably tell me.
Mm.
And so I convinced him to tell me, and he eventually he talking about something. Yeah, they were like, I don't know why the mechanic diagnosed a fuel pump. And why would you go the most
expensive?
It's not expense to them. The most drastic fix to a vehicle before you check other options. And the fact that he's saying that means to me that they knew. And now, so I got an inside story, right? An inside story on now where he's telling me that they were having a conversation about how they misdiagnosed it in the back, talking about why would he diagnose the damn fuel pump before he checked this.
Right.
So if they having a back and forth about that, that means that they know that the fuel pump was fine.
Right.
That's fucked up, bro. At this point, I don't care. The money, I already chalked that up as lost when I figured that was the issue. So if anything, I need 50% off when my next issue arises. Even if that's the least you could do.
Right. Now
you're not coming out of money right now, but you may come out of it with like the cost of labor or whatever in the future or something. Blah blah blah. No, because he told me I got to come back and speak to the director to try to confirm it. And I told him, I said, I mean, out of all honesty, I believe that the mechanic should lose his labor costs and he should technically work for free because he doesn't make mistakes like that. He don't come back till Monday. And clearly we can't be there. And I told him that. He's like, well, listen, just get yourself situated with the new baby and then come back and we'll take care of you. So he make it sound like they gonna take care of us.
They don't even remember.
Exactly. As soon as I show up,